Showing me shaking my head and my neck and last feel after that Buffalo game where they jumped. All I can tell you is
Dolphins number one, baby!
Names up, baby.
Dolphins
Names
number
up.
one!
I swear, if a certain quarterback is mentioned in the comments, got my beers ready. I'm gonna crack it open.
Or is it the Serbian kid?
Serbia kid,
This looks dumb. Oh my god, it looks fantastic.
No, you beat it, man! Gotta beat it, man! Woo! I'm the man. I said it, and it's reality. All right, now.
congratulations.
Good evening, Miami Heat fans and all fans of Finstock Sports Network. Welcome to another episode of Fast Break with yours truly, Alex. My right-hand man, like always, the voice of God. What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's going on, man? Just catching this late season hoops right now.
Yeah. And we got my man Justin with a companion, which is our fourth guest. So she's gonna answer some questions too if we need to. Right, Justin?
That's right, guys.
Oh,
We're here
you
from
got
Los
Frodo?
Angeles, ready to go.
What's up, bud? How you doing, man? We missed you last time.
Been doing good. I missed you guys too. Been traveling everywhere, but I happened to be in Sacramento when they did clinch the playoffs, so that was pretty magical.
Woo! How was that? Did you go to the game or you were just in Sacramento?
I was in Sacramento. Unfortunately, I flew out right as the game was ending, so I didn't get to see the lit beam. But, you know, it's a pretty buzzing day up there in Sacktown, you know? First time in 17 years.
That is quite a feat. And honestly, they're my surprise team in the West. And we're going to get into the playoff pictures, but I do want to talk about, I think the Heat have been doing some major trolling for us because if Clutch, if you remember before the season, Justin, you weren't with us yet, but before the season, we had these debates on these lineups, who can play the four. Do you run Jimmy at the four? Do you start Strus? And then we see him roll out this lineup. Obviously, it came with injury, so kind of a necessity, which, once again, injuries kind of help you out at times. They do create a gap where you need to fill, and you kind of go to something that you know already. And we figured that this lineup was going to be used eventually at a certain point. You try with Love, you bring him off the bench. Omer obviously regressed a little bit with the injuries. Highsmith is getting minutes today. So, Clutch, I'll ask you first and foremost. I believe Spo was trolling. I believe he knew all along he was going to run this lineup some way, somehow. I think he's just messing with people doing it right before the playoffs to create a little bit of stress in the opponents. So what is your take on this lineup? Is right now with our current structure, with our current rotation, is this the best? Is this the best way to maximize what we have heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like you said at the beginning of the season, we talked about this. We talked about this exact lineup. I mean, minus Kyle Lowry, minus Gabe Vincent, because we thought Kyle Lowry would be in there.
Correct.
But yeah, we pretty much thought this would be the lineup because it gives you what Spo wants in terms of switchability and spreading the floor and all that. I know he wanted to probably try out, and he wanted the Kevin Love starting at the four to work, but he's doing much better off the bench.
Yeah,
as he has in like recent years in Cleveland. So I mean, especially he was runner up for sixth man of the year. So it makes sense. Bring him off the bench. He seems comfortable there, and it looks like the starting lineup. He's found a starting lineup he likes for now.
Yeah.
To go into the playoff. I mean, the play-in.
Exactly. Because it would take. We've talked about this a little bit before the show. It would take a miracle. We need to sweep the rest of the games that we have, and the Nets to have a total collapse. And for sure, I think the Sixers played the Nets before the season's over. If I'm not mistaken, or the season finale, or one of those. I know they're playing, so I know the Sixers are going to rest all their guys because they're pretty much locked in the third seed, and they do not want to face the East because out of all the teams, we match up best against the Sixers. Of every team I see on top, Bucks, Celtics, Cavaliers, Knicks, Our best matchup is the Sixers. We can give them issues as we're seeing today. So, Justin, you're a little bit farther west. You're a traveling man. So you have pretty much traveled the whole West Coast with all these teams. We've had some surprise teams. You just mentioned you're in Sacramento. They make the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. Granted, I'm going to say this up front. I knew the Kings were going to improve, but I did not expect for them to be third overall seed in the East, in the West. And it's kind of surprising, honestly, because this year seems to be that certain teams that were contenders dealt with the injury bug. Us was a consistency. You had the Suns and Clippers that I thought they were going to be top 3. They kind of stumbled down to the 4, 5, 6 seed. The Mavs obviously traded for Kyrie. Desperation move. You lose Brunson. Now the stories come out of how you lost Brunson. Supposedly was his dad. So, and now you're kind of in Dallas. You're trying to save face, and you got to make sure Luka's interested long term. You have to be invested in him. You got to want him to stay. So from the West, one of the things that I see, obviously, is the battle for LA. You're in there, Justin. You see it every day. You get the vibe of the town. How was yesterday's Lakers and Clippers game? Like, how was that taken? Was that a surprise? And I know the Lakers played back to back, and the Clippers were rested, but I don't think Clippers fear Lakers at all, man. How do you feel about that one?
Clippers don't fear them at all. Clippers are always that team that are going to be hard-nosed. They don't need all the flashy lights. They just want to get business done, and that's how Kawhi has been his whole career. Yeah. Kawhi, the heart and soul of that team. I know he's not a very vocal leader, but they build that franchise around him, the 2-time champion, the 2-time Finals MVP. Paul George, great complimentary piece. I think he's still been out. I'm not quite sure. Didn't quite watch the full game. LeBron had something to say about playing back-to-backs after going to Utah, having to battle back in overtime to win, and then come essentially home and then call them both road games. Yeah. Like, bro, you're in your own stadium, and you're calling this. Okay.
I always find that hilarious when the whole situation, when the Lakers play the Clippers, like, oh, it's another road game. No, it's not, man. You just switch locker rooms. I don't even think they switch locker rooms. They each have their own locker room, their own home locker room. So that to me is funny. The concept of another road game is just back home. Justin, how do you think? I'll stay with you in the West. How do you think this playoff picture is going to end up in the West? I'll tell you, obviously, right now, the way it's physically, you got Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings. That's a lock. You got Suns, Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Pelicans, Wolves, and Thunder. Between 5 and 9, you have the possibility for them to flip the script. Obviously, it will take them to lose 2 in a row. The other person has to win out. So technically, all from 5 to 9, it could all be flipped. Highly unlikely. But matchup-wise, what do you think is the best matchup in the West right now, or for the playoffs when they start with a final standing? What do you think is going to be the most enticing first-round matchup? Or what matchup do people fear?
Well, that's easy. That's Golden State and Phoenix. You've got the Kevin Durant series right there. KD versus Golden State. The Suns have not lost with Kevin Durant in the lineup. They're currently 7-0, if I'm not mistaken. The Warriors cannot win on the road. So the Suns having that advantage of having the home court there, that goes in Phoenix's favor. Now, Curry, Thompson, Draymond, Iguodala hasn't played a lot. Looney, these guys are 3-4-time champions. Let's see what they're really made of. Can they go on the road as an underdog and win this title? Because that would be a story for the ages. That would really solidify all their legacies if they could do this.
Yeah, and curious point. Based on, obviously, tiebreaker, right now, the Clippers are 5th. And the Warriors are 6th. So the Warriors they can't finish tied with the Clippers. Because if they finish tied with the Clippers, then it's Clippers Suns first round. And you got the Warriors going against the Kings, which could be, I don't think anybody wants to face the Kings in the first round, man. Because they could bounce some people out real quick. It's funny how this really is almost flipped upside down. Because, well, Nuggets and Grizzlies were going to be competitive. We knew that. But the Lakers, Warriors, Pelicans, they're all kind of like in the bottom playing in. Like, we understand, injuries and all that, but Clutch, even in the West, before we go to the East, I'll ask you, what would you be most intrigued if what Justin just mentioned, kind of like the Suns and the Warriors in the first round, obviously they're going to flip whatever. They're going to make anything entertaining. But is there any other series out in the West that you're like, I want to see that for sure?
It's
like
kind of hard
Grizzlies,
to
Lakers.
comment on because of like what you said. Like
Yeah,
5 through 9th, you don't know. You don't know what any matchup is probably going to be.
at all.
But if you could, I guess if I could pick and choose, I
Yeah.
think
Well,
I
for,
think
for sake, let's go with the current standings. Let's say if it ends up just the way it is right now.
then in that case, I think Grizzlies and Lakers would be interesting.
Okay, yeah.
I think it'd be an interesting matchup. I think everybody wants. They think
Shannon
the Lakers
Sharp on
are
the
on the
sideline.
upswing. Yeah, I think the Lakers. Everybody thinks the Lakers are on the upswing and that they can beat Memphis, and everybody thinks that the Lakers are that team that could be like what we talk the Heat to be in the East, like that sleeper team that he wants to play. I don't think that's the case, but I think that would be an interesting matchup. But my favorite, and it's so random, but I would love to see the Kings and the Warriors instead of the Suns and the Warriors, just because how young the Kings this year remind me of the Grizzlies last year.
Yeah, they have nothing to
So-
lose.
Yeah, and so it's fun when you see a young team that has nothing to lose, playing with house money, and they're playing against the defending champions who are on the downswing of things. So it'd be really interesting to see if the young guys can get one on the defending champions.
Not to mention their Sacramento.
Uh-huh. One compelling thing, which obviously the Warriors, Andrew Wiggins situation, now we find out obviously that his dad was in critical condition, going through a medical condition. So I want to see how they incorporate him, because obviously you can incorporate a nucleus, a core piece, but it still takes a little bit of time to gel once again, to get him at game speed. So I'm interested to see how they'll handle that situation. And honestly, I keep looking at this, and one of the teams that I'm concerned for, not really concerned for, I don't care, but one of the teams that I feel can get a rude awakening, believe it or not, is the Nuggets, because they're matched up right now with the Pelicans. The Pelicans right now, I believe in the last, they've won what, like 8 out of the last 10. They're on a roll, and if the middle of the pack team is kind of like, Clippers are there, they want to. I'm pretty sure they're going to try to play. I don't think they want to play the Suns, but the thing is, even if you're the Clippers, you're either playing the Suns or the Kings. So no matter what, you have to play a difficult matchup. I don't think Thunder and Timberwolves make it. I honestly think it stays just the way it is right now. Pelicans at 8 and Lakers at 7, which will be an interesting matchup. We'll see. I'm going to swing it over to the East, and this is where it gets interesting, because right now, honestly, it's pretty much locked in. We got Bucks at 1, Celtics 2, Sixers at 3. Cavaliers at 4. They might, I don't know if the Cavaliers and Knicks, they have 52. No, they only got 2 more games. So Cavaliers are locked, either 4. They can't finish lower than 4. And probably, I don't know who has a tiebreaker between Sixers or not. But the other option here is a complete meltdown by the Nets, and we somehow catapult to the 6 if we win out. I don't see that happening because they play the Sixers, like I mentioned. So, and I do believe the Sixers will give them the game. Basically, they're going to play all their reserve players, and the Nets are going to win by default and to secure the 6th seed. Why? Because I do believe the Sixers want to play the Nets. I don't think the Sixers match up well with us. So, rest of the play-in could be Heat, Hawks, Raptors, Bulls. Out of those 2, I think who makes it is Heat and Raptors. But I'll kick it to you, Justin. What do you see in the East playoff race right now? What intrigues you? Is there any surprise thing that can happen in the playoffs? Because we'll talk about the Heat later, but you let me know your point of view.
Well, looking at it, I think the Bucks are going to cruise to the conference finals, no problem. And with the Celtics and I'd say, Celtics and Sixers, that's going to be the real toss-up if they both make it to the second round, because I think they will. It just seems like it's Philadelphia's year. They're finally starting to figure things out. They're finally seeming like the complete team that they should be. But Boston still has had their number. They almost blew it to Boston the other day, but I was watching every single minute of that game, and Embiid pretty much stamped his name on the MVP trophy in that game. That aside, I know we'll talk about that in a bit. But as far as, going toward the lower side, I think you're right. The Raptors will get that 8 seed. I think the Heat are the best team out of the play-in group, so they'll win that first game over Atlanta and they'll get in, no problem. But then you get Boston in the first round. We all know what happened last year. Is Jimmy really that guy? Does he have enough left in the tank to carry this team up through that Boston crap? And can he do that? And how far can they go against Boston? Can they get past Boston is what I'd like to see. Of course, me being a Heat supporter, Heat fan, I would like to see them beat Boston. But how logical is it? I know they've got a new guy, Coach Joe Mazzulla. He's been doing a great job. The Heat are clearly not the same team that they were last year. So they were one shot away from knocking the Celtics out. Can they reverse it?
And Clutch, I'll swing it to you. On the note of we just talked about before, the one thing that is in our favor this year, obviously we had inconsistent. This has been the most inconsistent year of Heat basketball, and I'm talking about years we've dealt with injuries, roster shakeups, major roster shakeups. We were never able to get a consistent day in, day out product on the court. And it's kind of funny how now, when you switch this lineup as a coach, you see it. Obviously, you see it's very fluid. Strus is athletic enough to still defend, where Jimmy is kind of the de facto 4 on defense, rebounding. I mentioned the other day, rebound numbers might go down a little, not crazy, but this lineup is very, very athletic. You have another shooter on the court with Hero, which Hero plays well with either Robinson or Strus. Bam as well. So now you have your focal point, high pick and rolls with Bam and Jimmy, or on the block. A lot of offense positioned. Jimmy on the block, ISO, clear the side. So there's a lot of wrinkles that come off, like ripple effects. And now you have Bam even at times running more point, Jimmy running more point, which is the plus of having Lowry on the bench. Lowry can run that second unit, and Caleb Martin can play with Kevin Love, and Caleb Martin is that athletic version of Jimmy Butler on the bench. And obviously, you might see Depot in a few instances at times. You might see Highsmith. You might see Robinson, depending on the matchups. But Clutch, I'll send it to you. What is the most enticing matchup for you in the East? How the way is currently set up?
I'm gonna try not to be a homer and say Heat Celtics, just to be different. Although Heat Celtics, we talked about this before we started the stream, that if Jimmy's petty, and if Jimmy can recapture, be like, I was this close, I'm not gonna let it slip by my fingers again, then we might have something in the first round. But just for the sake of not being a homer, I'll say Cleveland and the Knicks is a very good series. I think usually most of the time the 4 or 5 series are the most compelling, and in the East this year it's the same case, because one side you have Donovan Mitchell, who's been electric this year, and then with really, really good supporting cast.
Yeah.
And then you have I hate this guy, but he's good this year, so I have to give him the credit. Julius Randle, who's been playing lights out with apparently an addition that ended up working out really, really well for the Knicks with Jalen Brunson, which always makes me wonder with the point guard problems we've been having this season, and the Heat had supposedly scheduled a meeting with Jalen Brunson. Imagine what would have happened there. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the matchup is interesting.
Yeah. And it's funny because I don't know how true that is, that we actually, I don't know if they were using us for leverage, because we never got to meet with him, I believe, right? Like we never physically actually met with him. There was no
I think we had nothing scheduled, and he just signed with the Knicks before that.
That's why Dallas was fine for.
Which it's crazy what Cuban said today. Yeah, the way Cuban mentioned it today, basically admitting defeat in the aspect of we should have signed them, and supposedly the father was the one that got in the way. Which, I mean, I don't buy that BS, because you don't talk about that now, because you basically traded your whole. You traded a first-round pick. You traded some assets for Kyrie Irving, and we talked about this. I believe the trade happened. We had the show. Yeah, we had the show on the trade deadline. Kyrie was traded, I think, like a week before, like a few days before, or something like that. And the number one thing I said, I'm like, dude, this team has no defense. First of all, there's no shooting. You're just relying on two ball dominant guards that, yeah, you're going to score a lot of points, but you can't defend. And then Jason Kidd comes out and he's like, oh, interior defense, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. You know, people don't come here to see an 80-5, 84 game. We don't need that. Yeah, you kind of need that, bro. You kind of need defense in this league to win. Look, they just fell off. And I feel that it gets a bad rep. And I'm not going to put it in the same situation as Westbrook because, look at Westbrook yesterday, man. They put him. The Lakers dared him to shoot. He made everything. He was on point. And what did the Lakers do with Westbrook that was wrong? They misused him. They didn't use him properly. He should have been off the bench. When LeBron's not on the court, let him be ball dominant. Let him be Westbrook. Why are you going to acquire Westbrook and not let him be himself? And I feel there's a situation in Dallas where can Kyrie really be himself there and Luka be himself? They seem to be almost the same player, quote unquote. Obviously, one's a little bit more athletic, more flashy. The other one's a little bit, taller, a little bit stronger. But they really don't play defense. You don't have the person around them, so you might need to correct that. Which a Christian Wood sign and trade might be intriguing as a ladder move for some teams, even us getting rid of Robinson contract. So that's one option. But I'll pivot to most valuable player. And Justin, I'm going to give it to you because you mentioned something that I do believe. I understand the optics of it and all the talks about it. And they've tried to make it about race. And honestly, this part really bothers me because even the whole situation with the National Women's Championship and NCAA and the whole race thing and like one is criticized and one is not. You're basketball players. All basketball players. So right now, hands down, who was your MVP, Justin? Did we lose Justin? Can I hear you or no? Is it just me?
I think we lost Justin.
Justin? Oh, man. We see him there. We can't hear him. It's kind of like the opposite. We can see him, but we can't hear him. We can hear you, but we can't see you. So if we can mesh you two together, we can form the perfect guest host. Justin, okay. Well, in the meantime, Justin, when you come in, we'll see. We'll go back, and he's gone. Clutch, who's your MVP?
My MVP. I have a strict feud with the city of Philadelphia, and even though I respect and I like Joel Embiid, there's no chance in hell I'm picking him because I hate Philadelphia with a burning passion.
Just bias a little.
So my MVP is still Nikola Jokic, just for the sole reason that I do not like Philadelphia.
Let's discuss this. You know how many writers actually vote just like you did, but they don't.
A lot, probably.
Justify it. Huh?
A lot. The media's petty.
There's nothing that so no one pisses me off. I love Chuck. I love Charles, but Charles has never nothing positive to say about the Miami Heat. Never. Even Kenny say, "Hey man, in the playoffs, Miami's scary." Chuck automatically, "No, they're not." Really? You mean to tell me any team wants to face us in the playoffs right now? I don't think any team wants to face us in the playoffs, and not in the first round. And healthy, which people don't realize this, man. I know we've been super inconsistent this year. You don't lose the culture in a matter of a second. You don't lose the culture in a day. Okay? And I'm going to bring Justin. We got him back.
Hey, guys. Okay. Sorry about that. I got a computer now. We're good.
It's funny. We just see you, man. You're a man of many talents. You were just driving with a companion. You dropped the companion. You get back in your car, and now you're in your room. You're like a superhero. You're everywhere. Justin, what I asked you, oh man, did we lose him again? No, we didn't lose him. Oh, we got him. Okay. Justin, I asked you, who is your MVP? And Clutch, well, first and foremost, you didn't hear it, but Clutch is against Embiid just for the mere fact that he hates.
No, I'm not against Embiid. Not against Embiid.
He wouldn't.
I love Embiid.
He won't pick Embiid as the MVP because he hates everything about Philadelphia.
Yes.
With a passion. Correct?
Yes.
There you go. Okay, so Justin, on that note, who's your MVP?
Well, fair enough. Philadelphia's got interesting sports fans. I've heard they got good cheesesteaks, though. Not that I would care.
That's true. Okay, do you see? Clutch. Go back on.
Yes.
Justin just made a great point, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Justin. I didn't mean to cut you off. They have the cheesesteaks. Is there anything about Philadelphia that you do like? I'll give you one shot.
Maybe like one of the Rocky movies.
One of them?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, all right.
Yeah, like I won't give Philadelphia much. I won't give New York much, and I won't give Boston much. So.
Okay, good. All right, Justin. Who's your MVP?
I'm going to go with Embiid. After I saw what he did to the Celtics, he just couldn't miss that day. And at the same night, I did want to mention Jokic, the number 1 seed, his Nuggets. They lost to the worst team in the West, the Rockets, with a fully healthy squad, both teams, this late in the season when you're still fighting for first place. And meanwhile, up in Philadelphia, you've got Embiid, who's been neck and neck with them all year, drop a 50-burger, almost a triple-double. Like, come on. Like, that night just overall ended the race, in my opinion. That was it.
You can argue Embiid is probably one of the top 3 scorers in the NBA right now. One of the most gifted scorers, a natural scorer. And he actually came out with something super funny today. He has an article in the Players Tribune, I believe, right? And he was talking about, they asked him as part of the article in the interview, kind of that semi-interview, it was like him asking himself, is like when he wanted to shoot 3-pointers, what did he do? And he's like, he didn't Google, guys shooting threes or guys shooting jumpers. He Googled white man shooting threes. Why? Because us white people, we have the perfect form. We go textbook form, and it's true. I never thought about this, but when you see Embiid shoot, he shoots like an older white guy. And you kind of see now the stance, the hand placement. And it's funny how now it clicks. I'm like, holy shit. He does shoot like that 40-year-old guy playing in the gym in LA Fitness, and that guy doesn't miss. He's bucket from 20, 25 feet. He's solid. He can't run back up down the court. He can't play defense. But if you feed him off that high post, he's going to knock it down every single time because he has the perfect form. And it's one of those, look, I'm a coach. I played basketball my whole life. There are stereotypes that it's not about race. It's just fun basketball stereotypes. And it's true. Like, look at John Stockton. When people saw John Stockton, never in a million years, if you put John Stockton right now on the court, do you think people will fear him? And, John Stockton probably apeshit crazy right now, but he can still dominate his position if he played right now because of his discipline, his shooting form, his tenacity for stealing balls, his on-court presence alone. But people see him and you're like, oh, look at this white guy. We can do whatever we want with him. And it's hilarious to me. And I've never been offended by anything in regards to, because I'm Hispanic, Cuban, and I always think that sports is one of the best things to like kind of cross those barriers of like race and like discrimination and things like that. And obviously I don't try to make this a political show or racial show. I'm just saying how sports should be racially unbiased, no religion based. It's just sports. You can respect each other, but you also got to enjoy and have fun with those stereotypes that it comes in sports, respectfully. So I'm gonna give my take here with Embiid. Obviously, Jovic, overall player, I still go with Jovic. But this year,
yes, we love the Miami Heat's Jovic.
Yeah. Jokic, I'm sorry. Jokic.
Nah, you were right the first time. Jovic's for
I got it too.
Jovic is coming, man. Jovic is coming. But yeah, the Jokic. I do think he's one of the most complete players right now in regards to, and another stereotype. You see him, not athletic. He can run very fast. He can jump high, but he's a walking triple-double. And then you have on the other spectrum, when you think about triple-doubles, you think about Russell Westbrook. Super athletic, guard, freak of nature. So you can affect the game. You can be an essential component of your team, the best player, and you could do it in 2 different styles. But hands down, this year, I do believe the most important player on his team has been Joel Embiid. Giannis, you can make an argument for. Obviously, they missed Middleton for a while. I think Middleton missed like 20, 30 games or something like that. So you can make an argument for Giannis. But I do believe Joel takes it this year. So I will put my pride aside with the Sixers And it's funny because he could win MVP, and I still think we could beat him in the playoffs in 6 at the most. So let me see. Talked about the East. We talked about the West. We knew that this year there was really no hierarchy. Once we started seeing the Warriors trickle down, and we talked about the Bucks and the Nuggets in both conferences, and everything else was pretty even. Realistically, Justin, I was talking to Clutch, and while you were, I think we had lost you in one of those moments before pre-show. This has been one of the most inconsistent seasons in Heat basketball history that I've witnessed, that I've watched. But also, this is actually the first time I believe that we're going into the playoffs major injury free. Like, you have your nicks and knacks and your bruises, but we're kind of going with a new rotation now. It's funny, it's a new old rotation because we're very familiar with it. We're very fluid with it. Do you feel that this year the difference could be the health of Jimmy, the health of Bam, the health even of Lowry? We don't have Lowry being run down. He's going into the playoffs healthy in a new role, playing maybe 15, 20 minutes off the bench, running the second unit. So do you feel that can be an advantage to us, even though we have a lower seeding, we're a playing team? We're still a talented roster, and you still have the championship pedigree. You don't lose that overnight. So how do you feel we will do in the first round, no matter our matchup, Celtics or Sixers, because those are the only real options that we have?
Well, you always want to go in with full health, and I'm not going to be overly zealous here and say, oh, they're going to upset anybody just because they're healthy. No, they still got to compete. They're either going to get the Celtics or the Bucks if they make it into the playoffs, assuming the Nets don't collapse.
Yeah,
and I do believe that they will. The Bucks, look, against the Bucks, it's always been either the Heat sweep or the Bucks sweep, or it goes surprisingly in one team's favor.
Yeah.
So, going into this, I think we should feel confident knowing that the Heat have their health. But if we're going against the Bucks, I don't think there's going to be that much competitiveness. Maybe they'll be lucky to get 2 games. I think they'll definitely get 1. Against the Celtics, I could easily see it going 6, maybe 7. We'll see. But we just got to play like a team, man. If the team ball is there and the shots are falling, then we have a chance. But again, Jaylen Brown, very mad about possibly not making All-NBA, that he's going to be fueled to the fire. He wants that ring too. Jason Tatum is Jason Tatum. Derek White, they got a great guy in him who can score. So just watch out, man. Just watch out where we're going.
And Clutch, I'll tell you this in another ripple fold here. Out of all the additions and subtractions for the teams and in-season trades or off-season trades, we could do that. What do you feel, and I'll do the East first, what do you feel has been a move that has catapulted a team in the East, whether it gave them stability in an in-season move, as a buyout market, in-season trade, off-season acquisition? Obviously, the sexy one, Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell acquisition. Aside from that, have you seen anything else in the East that kind of like, that move put them over the top?
Maybe not put over the top, but help strengthen. I think the Jay Crowder move for the Bucks is underrated. I think, especially when in a season where Middleton is in and out of the lineup because he's injured or he's just not right this year. I think it was a low key, very good move for a team that's already number 1 to help strengthen somebody that this is somebody who in 2020 in the bubble basically held down Giannis to minimum numbers, and we won 5 games because of him. And now he's on the team with Giannis. Yeah. And I think that was a very, very good pickup. I kind of blank on other moves in the East because a lot of action went towards the West.
Yeah.
But,
well, you can argue the Celtics with Brogdon also. Knicks were hard. And it's funny, the Celtics, we never got to see Gallinari play because obviously towards ACL. So I don't know if they would have been as beneficial, but I mean, Gallinari still signed, so you'll come back next year. The West, I think we can agree, is probably the Suns with Kevin Durant is the most important move, right?
Yeah,
hands down,
biggest move. Yeah,
I do think all the moves the Lakers made helped them get back into the playoffs because they weren't even a playoff team. So I'll give them that. it catapulted them into a middling team, not a top tier team, but a middling team in the Western playoffs.
It's crazy to me because you see these teams, even the Thunder, man. When you see the Thunder, the Magic, the Pistons, all these teams are coming for people. Like, they're young, they're athletic. Even the Rockets are a ping pong away of possibly having or trading or acquiring for someone or signing Harden again. So it is insane that the way we see the standings right now could be completely different next year in the whole scheme of 1 through 8, even in the play, which is crazy. Oh, one thing that I came across, and I wanted to ask you, Justin, if you heard about it. Did you see the new propositions for the new CBA?
I did, where you have to play a minimum, I believe it's 65 games in order to qualify for some of the postseason awards.
Exactly. I think that is marvelous and clutch too. One of the things that I was surprised by is that players are not going to be allowed to have a stake on teams, whether it be NBA or WNBA. Did you hear anything about if the NBA players' contracts, they could offer them part of ownership instead of monetary value? Because I know the salary cap is going to go up. The penalty range is going to widen a little bit. So you're going to have more flexibility to go deep into a tax if you want to. But now you're also going to get a repeaters tax where you are a severe repeaters tax where you might lose draft picks, where you might lose your biannual exception. So they're gonna try to make it as competitive, which is pretty cool because the way the league is coming around now, it's the most balanced that we've seen it in a while across the board. Gone are those 3 superstar teams really. Now it's back to like the two superstar teams and your complementary role player. So did you hear anything about that part, about the investment part, about the stakes in the team? Like legally, how would it work if you can have ownership of another team and play for another team?
That sounds like the works of LeBron James or Dwayne Wade, to be honest. You got guys, business moguls like them saying, hey, guys, you can own part of the team and then make passive income. Frankly, I think it's super smart. I mean,
it's cool.
I think it could get out of hand with all the different players out there. It should probably only be reserved for people who are on a Supermax deal, just in case. Because then it's almost like having shares in the stock market.
Exactly. Which is fun, which is what Inter Miami is offering Leo Messi. I believe they're offering like 30% of the team in ownership, and obviously they have the contracts with Apple with Apple TV. They have obviously MLS is going to keep getting popular, so it's an attractive feature for them. And it's always funny because, and it's crazy how the sport evolves. Finally, they're removing the marijuana penalty. No longer players are going to be tested for marijuana or suspended for marijuana use. I agree with that 100%. And the fact that now they're leveling the playing field of teams that cannot go and spend into these catastrophic luxury taxes where you have, I don't want to say you need to have a hard cap sport, but I do believe in competition. I do believe equal opportunity. Like, if you want to go and play for a big market, that's fine. If they got the cap space, they could sign you. But long gone are these days. I would be interested to see. They're never going to get rid of guaranteed contracts. But it does piss me off when you do this. You sign a 5-year deal and then you demand to trade the year after. Because it creates a precedent. I know owners will trade players or whatever. I would like for them to have more of a business relationship where you kind of have that unwritten rule of respect, which superstars do have. But when you sign up, it's a business. You're a multimillionaire. You sign a multi-million-dollar contract. You're eligible to be moved at any moment. And you could have a no-trade clause if you like. Things of those nature. So I'm really like the way the NBA is hands-on and they try to fix the situations before they get out of hand, even with the All-Star games and whatnot. So we're at the 40-minute mark, really. And next show, for sure, we have the playoff seedings because I believe the season is over in 5 days, right? Or with a play-in tournament is in 5 days. We got probably some teams have 3 games left, 2 games left. So by the next time we do our show, next Wednesday or Thursday, I believe Wednesday, I'll get back to you guys because I have a volleyball game that day. That I'm a coach. If you hear it in my voice, I'm exhausted because I'm assistant coach in a volleyball team. We have our basketball program starting up again, little by little. So it's been long days, long days. So Clutch, well, Justin, it's good to have you back, my man. I hope you can make it next show, unless you are on another state, another island. I will always want to play this game. Where is Justin today? Like, remember, Where in the World was Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Justin Garfield? We can do that every show before it starts to see where you are.
That'll be fun. I will not be in California next week, so I'll keep you guessing for the next week.
Oh, perfect. Oh, you can give us hints. If you're able to make the show, I want you to start giving us hints of where you are. And we'll try to figure it out before the show's over. You down for that, Clutch?
Yeah, I'm down. It sounds like fun.
Okay, should I drop it right now?
Go.
Pizza.
Okay, you got either Chicago, New York. Okay.
Or dark horse. He's going to Italy.
Curveball. Now we get into specific. Thin crust, long pizza, big pizza,
Deep dish.
deep dish. Gives it away. Deep dish from Brooklyn style. Do you fold it? Do you cut it with a knife? Oh man, but hey, it's good to have you back. Welcome back. I know you're working your ass off. We're all proud of you. Thank you for being on with us. Thank you for making the time. You are a man of many traits. You're driving, dropping people off, going back home, and you're ready to do it. So thank you, Justin. Much love, bud.
Thanks for having me as always.
Always, man. Always. And Clutch, like always, are a great tradition. Me and Bobby have this Cuban goodbye thing when we do 10th Street Boys. And I like to think this is your Cuban goodbye. Even though you're not Cuban, this is your Cuban goodbye. So any final words, my man?
Nah, man. By this time next week, we'll figure out where the Heat are, because I think, like you said, they will have already played the play-in game. So
yeah,
this time we'll know what it is with this team.
Bro, can you imagine the stars line up and the Nets lose all their games and we win out? That's something that, and watch, it's gonna be the last game of the season. We're gonna be right on our toes, last second. I'm intrigued. I want to see how this goes. And I gotta commend, if Spo's actually doing this shit and he was trolling us all along, and he's just like, you know what I'm gonna do, guys? Last week of the season, fuck it, let's go with Strus and Butler.
Well,
and
he might be, because we're up by 24 on the Sixers.
Bro, I'm telling you, it's a masterclass in trolling. The whole season we're struggling. Oh my God, Jimmy's arguing. Jimmy's not happy. He might want out. Oh my God, this team can't get it together. And Spo's just like,
All it took was some Nickelback. I don't know if you saw that report.
Hey, and
by the way, look at this photograph.
Holy shit.
While we're on the topic of Nickelback.
That's a good one. I see what you did there, Justin. Oh man. Okay, but for myself, Clutch, Justin, everybody here at Finstock Sport Network, I didn't say it at the beginning. I know I get lost, and Bobby tells me all the time. Like, subscribe. We have a lot of great content, possible more future people joining our program, our network, which the family's always growing. It's funny. It's like wherever we think we're not going to continue to grow in some aspect, a surprise comes and we continue to grow in that aspect. And it's always a fun challenge. It's always a pleasure doing these shows with you guys. And much love. Be safe out there. Until next Wednesday, Miami. Let's go Heat.
Let's go Heat.